What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with Guni and T Dot, and we're going to be discussing the Cobham lads today because obviously we saw that excellence that they showed us at Juventus and earlier on in the season. But I think it's about time to really go back in on these boys because, boy, if they come leaps and bounds since we've had a conversation about them, T Dot. But obviously, before we get into the content, make sure you do like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts down there as well. We always like to hear your thoughts on this channel. And yeah, man, T Dot, the Cobham boys, they look like, listen, first of all, I'm going to say this. I'll make a bold statement. We've got the best academy in the world. Argue with yourself if anybody wants to argue that. We've got the best academy in the world. And I'm going to get right into it. We're going to start off with Trevoh Chalobah. His breakout season. I know it helps to play next to Thiago Silva and Rudiger and Christensen and these boys, but I haven't seen him put a foot in wrong. He's been solid defensively. He looks comfortable on the ball. He makes the right decisions. He can shoot from outside the box. He scored from outside the box. He's deadly inside the box. You saw that finish against Juve. It was a nice finish from him. And he just seems to be repaying Thomas Tuchel's faith every single time he steps in. And that is a Cobham graduate. Cobham graduate number one we're going to talk about. T Dot, talk to me.
Yeah, man, you hit that on the nail on the head. I think with Trevoh, I think why it's worked so well with him as well, because obviously he's part of that foundation at Chelsea, like all the other people that we're probably going to talk about today as well. But I think what helped him more than anything was going on loan, because he had a spell, I think, with Huddersfield, and then I think he went to France somewhere. I can't remember, Lorient or something like that, some French team. And that time when he went there, he was playing all sorts of different positions as well, not just as a centre back. He was playing defensive mid as well. And I think that's the thing with him, that he just looks comfortable. I do think a part of that is around the fact he's got someone like Thiago Silva, he's got Christensen there, he's got Rudiger, he's learning off three good centre backs as well. But I think he just looks comfortable. He's comfortable going forward with the ball, which at that age is what? He's only 22, I think, or something like that. He's still quite young in terms of his footballing years. And for him to be able to be that comfortable, and for Thomas Tuchel to put that much trust in him as well, because that's a big factor when you've got the centre backs that we've got. Even against Juventus, when I was watching him, I was thinking he looks comfortable. He ain't scared to take on players. He ain't scared to bring the ball forward, and he's just one of those players that I think, as long as we keep him, which obviously we're going to, and even with the likes of Silva eventually going to be moving on, there's always talks of us getting other centre backs in, like a Kunde or someone like that, or Wesley Fofana. I think we've been linked with previously as well. But he's just someone that, even the fact that he was due to go on loan, I think he was one of the ones that may have gone on loan at the start of this season. He fought his way into the squad, and he's give Thomas Tuchel a reason to play him every week nearly. So he's definitely in the plans for Tuchel for Chelsea as well, man.
I mean, with Trevor, he just, the thing what I love about him so much as well is just that he's such a humble character. Is he goes on about his business quietly. You don't hear anything about him off the field. He's just a kid that plays his football and is just obsessed with doing, his utmost. But my thing is this, right? With the example from what we've seen from these Cobham boys, first of all, I'm going to ask the question. You obviously mentioned Jules Koundé. We were heavily linked with him, and we actually could have signed him if Sevilla didn't go back on the agreement. He would have actually been a Chelsea player. But with Trevor emerging the way he has, and then obviously you've got other players who have gone on to do decent elsewhere. I mean, Guehi never kicked a ball with us, and we sold him for 20 million, but he seems to be a very good signing for Crystal Palace. Do we have the answer in the academy? Do we really need to go out there and spend money for Jules Koundé when we've got young guys in the academy like Mboyamba as well? We're also forgetting about Malang Sarr as well. We've got to give those guys the chance to develop and show what they've got. And certainly under Tuchel, I've got to say, if he's going to give them a chance, I'm going to trust them. So is it time to really put our money where our mouth is and just start trusting La Cobham Inc., and just going back into our academy and just giving the boys a try?
100%. I think that's exactly what it needs to be, because I think we've done that in the past where we've gone out, we've got the youth there, we've had the best youth system for how many years now, and we've always gone out and we've spent money. Sometimes it's worked out, and then sometimes it hasn't. And then at the cost of losing some of our youth, we've had to let them go. You just mentioned Guehi. You could talk about maybe even a Conor Gallagher who's had to go out on loan as well.
Yep.
You look at Billy Gilmore, those
Yep.
kind of players that have gone out on loan just to get the experience as well. But yeah, I think it's definitely time. I think Thomas Tuchel's probably the right man as well to nurture those players into the senior squad. But it's all about getting the opportunity. And I think when they get the opportunity, you got to take it. And Trevor's definitely done that. He's definitely taken his chances. So I think, obviously, I think personally for me, we've obviously got the squad there, the system in place and everything. It makes sense to use a youth system there. Why have one of the world's best youth systems and then not utilize it in the right way? Selling on these players is great. When you get a Mark Guehi, someone like that, you can sell them on for 20 mil. Even a Tomori, you think about him as well as a centre back. He went to AC Milan, but why not just utilize them rather than bring in? Is my opinion.
No, absolutely, and I mean, look, just going back to Trevor, you got to look at the games that he's also been involved in as well. It's not like we're talking about cup competitions here and there. I'm not. I mean, the big one we're talking about is the Super Cup. He was heavily involved in that. Obviously, we got the win in that. He was been involved in big games in the Premier League as well, Champions League as well. So his breakout season is looking exceptional. He's literally walking into the biggest competitions in the world and performing at the highest level. So as for Chalobah, the last thing that I will say about this is this guy should be the first name on the England team sheet as one of those centre backs. Because to be honest, out of all of the English centre backs that I have seen in terms of form, I haven't seen one that surpassed Trevor so far.
I'd agree. I think him and Tomori, if you watch Tomori for AC Milan,
Oh yeah,
definitely. But in terms of Maguire, come on, like he should be starting above Maguire, and that's just not
absolutely.
that's not a bias either. That's just facts at the moment based off form. He's definitely better than Maguire right now.
No, absolutely. But then that's just that FA tax, with the politics in there, the marketable players and the ones with the bigger contracts, the senior guys and this and that. It's all a bunch of politics that plays into first team selection in these international squads. And we tend to forget that as well. But obviously moving just, same position, but just on the wide side, our boy Reece James. You know what, T Dot? This guy, ever since I saw what he did in his loan spell at Wigan, I flew that flag. I said, this guy is my favorite Cobham player that I've seen for a very long time. And he might be the best that we've seen since like John Terry and them boys. Absolutely. Because what he is doing week after week and just seeing the improvements week after week is just ridiculous. And we're going to start off with Leicester. I want to start off with Leicester because those two finishes, T Dot, were special.
100%, 100%. There, for me, that's the part of Reece James's game that he's always, I'm not going to say lacked on because he's always been brilliant going forward. But I think now that he's adding goals to his game as well, like he's all like that debate is kind of like stupid now when you think about the whole is he one of the best right backs or is he the best right back? For me, again, arguably he's probably the best right back right now. If we're talking about based on current form, he's got to be the best right back defensively and going forward, and he can score goals. They're strikers. Some of them are strikers' goals. Even at the Juventus one, look, the way he took that ball down, and do
Oh,
you know what I
mate.
mean? With that
Yeah.
space as well, and to finish it the way he did. Listen, some strikers will be
Listen,
happy with that.
listen. Yeah, let's break down that finish because people need to understand just how techie that was. Yeah. For him to bring down that ball, watch him as he watches that ball come down. And you see when he strikes that ball, do you know how difficult it is to hit it as clean as he did?
That's what
It
I'm
didn't
saying.
touch the ground, it didn't lose no pace on the way. It just boomed, and that angle as well. You've got to understand the difficulty and how impressive that was. And you got to make that split moment decision as well. He knew exactly what he was doing. Listen, you see Reece James here, we haven't even come on properly to his defensive qualities because me, I'm old school. I like my defenders to be able to defend first, and then whatever they do after that, I'm happy with it. But Reece James is an exception to the rule because you see, if that guy is 1-on-1 or if he's in the box, I have confidence like a striker that he's going to put that chance away. which is going to bring me on to the next argument, T Dot. Obviously, he's got his British counterpart over there in Liverpool, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is now being more compared to
Mm.
at the minute. Before, people were saying it was never a conversation, but now you're seeing the two names coming into the same sentence. How long do you think before people are going to realize that Reece James is actually the better all-round player than Trent Alexander-Arnold?
They should be seeing that now, to be fair. And when people say that, it's not a case of Trent shit or he's not as good, because he's up there. He's still up there.
Absolutely,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? I think
Don't
people
make him
need
a
to,
shit player.
yeah, I think people need to understand when people say that Reece James is just better. It's not because he's Chelsea or we're Chelsea fans. It's just the fact that he's actually better. But so is Trent. Trent's good. So I think
Mhm.
people need to understand that. But people should be seeing that now. Like in terms of defensively, like you just said then, a defender is meant to defend. That's his first job. So his first job is to defend. If anyone can say that Trent defends better than James,
Yeah, you're
I don't know
buzzing.
what games they're watching. He doesn't do that. So I think in terms of what he's there to do, defend, Reece James does that better. Going forward, they're probably on par. When you talk about assists and things like that, they're both decent. They're both good at what they do going forward. Do you get what I mean? But in terms of like all round overall, you have to put Reece James first. And that's just not even a bias or nothing like that. Because I know people like to get in comments and say it's a bias, it's Chelsea. This, it's not even that. The fact is that he's the all round defensively and attacking. He's the one that you put on the team sheet first for England. It's that
Yeah.
simple.
And you can't ignore the fact that he's part of a defensive unit that have only conceded 4 goals in the Premier
Come
League.
on.
That's a fact that cannot be ignored. I know people are going to say, "Oh, it's the whole defense." Yeah, but he's part of that system as well, and he's
Exactly.
also very much a part of us going forward. Now, another thing as well, because we're very sported with that in our wing backs, the fact that both of them are like complete footballers. They're very comfortable in front of goal, and they're also very good at tracking back. And we see Reece James and Ben Chilwell as well. They like to make them infield runs. And we're
Mm,
spoiled with the fact that they're able to do those things and make the decisions in those positions and impact the game positively going forward as well as they do defensively. But then another guy I've got to bring up, the next person has to be Loftus Cheek. Yes, he's not part of the youngsters, but he's still a Cobham graduate. And this guy, I had to add him in because, like Callum Hudson-Odoi, he did have a very serious injury, which is an Achilles injury, and that's one of the worst injuries you can have
mm.
in any sport. So the rehabilitation and the time taken for him to come back and perform at the level that he's been performing at is nothing short of incredible. And hats off goes to a man like Loftus Cheek. But he's brought through exactly what we've wanted to see from him, what we've needed. I mean, the goal that Callum Hudson-Odoi scored against Juventus epitomizes what Loftus-Cheek brings to the team. His close control, his ability to work it out in tight spaces and to still have some output is brilliant. He's been unfortunate this season that he hasn't had more assists to his game because the finishes have let him down. But Loftus Cheek is coming back into himself, into the form that we saw with Sarri. But I think the goals are going to start coming with Ruben now. The more opportunities that he gets, do you think that it was a good choice keeping Ruben and trusting the fact that after his loan at Fulham that he would be able to compete at this level?
100%. 100%. I think with him as well, he brings so much to a game. When like I was there Tuesday, so when he came on, there was just a different there was just something different about how we were playing. Do you know what I mean? The fact that he can hold the ball up, he can the way he was just moving players off the ball. Like he's I don't know, man, super strong. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of keeping him, I think that was the right choice. I think he was never really gonna. I didn't expect too much from him at Fulham. I think he had games where he played very well for Fulham,
Mhm.
but when they're a team that's down and out in the Premier League anyway, obviously he doesn't get mentioned because they got relegated. Do you know what I mean? So I think in terms of that, I think it was always the right choice to keep him. I wouldn't have liked to have seen him get sold on, but he's got a lot of. The only thing that worries me now, obviously, when you have an injury like that, you kind of worry: is it going to happen again? Or
Yes,
do you know what I
yeah.
mean? So you have to be very careful, and the manager does that. You see that he doesn't start many games, or he brings him on as a sub. So I think that's just too cool. Slowly embedding him back into a lot more football, and I think that's the right thing to do. But in terms of keeping him, listen, he's an asset to the team,
No,
and if you
absolutely.
you lose someone like that, it's a big gap. It's a massive
Yeah.
gap in the team.
And yeah, I was actually, you're right, T Dot, because I was actually going to go on to say that, people might not realize it, but he's going to be very important to us getting silverware as well this season. Because obviously, you do have your usual suspects, the world class faces, your Thiago Silvas, Edouard Mendy's, Rudigers, Kantes, and those guys. They go without mentioning. But it's just that Ruben Loftus Cheek is that one midfielder that has that uniqueness where he can pick up the ball from anywhere. He can shield the ball up top and bring other players into play.
Mm.
He can dribble very well. He's very technical, very good in small spaces. He's a very all-round player, and he also provides a goal threat. I believe like I said, I think his goal numbers are going to start going up the more opportunities that he does get. But definitely, we've got to big up Ruben Loftus Cheek. Hopefully, he's able to stay fit because, like I was saying, he's going to be key to the things that we win. He's very unique in his role at Chelsea, and we need that. We're coming on to the next guy, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Suffered a very similar injury to Ruben Loftus Cheek, another Achilles injury. So we know the rehab pattern with that. It takes time to get even back to normal walking and things like that. So to expect him to sort of perform at the level of expectations he had before the injury, it was harsh on many of our parts, even me as well. I spoke out of frustration at times, and I said some things where, like, Callum should perhaps have gone to Bayern Munich and things like that. But this is the thing. I do like to be proved wrong, especially by my own. And Callum seems to be doing that. But is that down to Tuchel and the patience that he's had for the player?
I think it's a bit of both. I think obviously the whole Bayern thing when that was happening, I think his head was turned. I think he probably did want to go, but then there was also that little falling out him and Lampard. I think had, and he wasn't the only one. There was a lot of players I think that probably fell out with him at the end. So I think that was a big thing. Obviously, that has a massive factor on when you play football. I'm sure that has a massive factor on how you go out and play or you train every day. And then you got to bring that kind of momentum back into your game when someone else comes in. So when Tuchel comes in, it was a clean slate for everyone. Even look at like a Ross Barkley, it's a clean slate for everyone. And he took his opportunity, Callum. He took his opportunity. Even when he was told not to play in a position, his favoured position, he was still playing on certain like the right side, or he'd play on like a wing back. It wasn't his natural position. So he just persevered with it, and I think he's getting the rewards for it now. And again, like I said about Loftus Cheek, Reece James, Callum Hudson-Odoi on Tuesday was exceptional. Like he was just yeah, I run out of good things to say about him, but he's one of those players for me that, again, like you just said about Loftus Cheek, it's someone that we're going to need in terms of squad depth to keep winning silverware at Chelsea. He's someone that can take on players, get the ball in the box. He does
Yeah.
that so well, effortlessly as well. It's just too easy for him in the box, man. It's too easy.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw what he was doing to Cuadrado. It was a nightmare for him. Literally, he couldn't time the tackle. He
Mm,
was getting left at every opportunity. The guy was just being thrown all over the floor, to a point where 27 minutes or so in, Cuadrado said, "I had enough." Just wrestled him down and just
mm,
took the yellow. And then from that point, obviously, Juventus had to be cautious on that side, and Chiesa had to come back and support, which completely stifled Chiesa's game because he weren't making the runs that he was over there in Turin. Do you know what I mean? But
mm.
Callum definitely, you're starting to see that confidence come back, the ability come back, lining up them defenders, beating them, getting in behind, and making things happen in the box and creating goal scoring opportunities. So the development's only going to get better. And it's no coincidence that we're doing this. He's doing this under this manager because it seems like every single player has stepped up a level at Chelsea Football Club. And look, even if we look elsewhere outside of the club, Conor Gallagher, because I wasn't going to touch on the loanees, but I have to put respect on some of these boys' name because Conor Gallagher, what he's doing, he's out on loan at Crystal Palace. He's just been called up to the England team as well. Muchly
Mm.
deserved, right? He's making a case so strong because I believe that he was going to be one of those players who would have been very good and he's going to be sold. But I'm getting to a point where I'm saying, you know what? We can't even sell him now. He's got to come back into the squad and we got to make use of him. I don't care how. But it just goes to show. But we got to talk about Conor Gallagher in that Patrick Vieira's system over at Crystal Palace. How well has he been performing over there, T Dot?
I think that's all down to Patrick Vieira. I think the fact that he's playing for Patrick Vieira and he's getting the best out of him, he's probably I mean, I haven't really watched a lot of Palace this season, but I think he's, from what I have seen of him, he's definitely one of the best players that they've got there at the club right now.
I mean,
Arguably one of the best.
the performance that he put in against Manchester City was just
Yeah,
a
like
masterclass. Yeah,
a
it
man
was
of
a
the match performance.
dominant performance. And again,
Mm.
this is just all DNA coming straight out of Cobham. Do you see him fitting into the squad next season, like actually competing for a starting place? I mean, but remember, Tito, we've got a lot of competition, especially in that midfield. But can you see him competing for a spot?
It's tough. I've had this conversation before. It's tough. I'd personally love to see him back at the club. My mind and everything else is telling me that I think Palace will want to try and keep him and get him on a permanent. If I'm honest, I think they'll want to try and keep him, and I think reluctantly we'll probably sell him as well. As mad as
Obviously,
it
but
sounds.
I think at minimum we're gonna have a buyback clause on that one. I'll be
Yeah,
very shocked if we don't, because that could easily, especially with him, that can turn into a Declan Rice situation
mm,
very quickly. Do you know what I mean? And
mm.
then we've got our other two over at Southampton. Although Broya's not playing as much as I would like him to over at Southampton, but Tino Livramento, he was sold on a permanent, but he has got a buyback clause, I believe, in the region of around £40 million. So technically, he's still sort of like a loanee player, because from what we've seen of him in his breakout season in the Prem, it has been nothing short of just phenomenal. Definitely one of Southampton's key players
Mm.
going forward and defending as well. Does he have a future at the club on that right wing back side?
It's tough, man. It's tough because you look at the competition that's ahead of you as well. So again, I'd love to see him back. I'd love to see him back. I'd love to see Billy Gilmore back as well. But it's just the depth of the squad. It depends
But for
what they want.
Tino, but for Tino, it's kind of different, because look, on that right wing back side, you've got Reece James. He's definitely not taking Reece's spot. But then after that, you've only really got Aspi that's gonna play there.
Yeah, but you see, like I was saying, then sometimes he likes to put Hudson-Odoi there as well.
Well, Hudson, yeah. But
So
then,
if he plays him there, I agree with you though, because you got a natural right wing back there on loan, or that we can bring back into the club. Why play someone at their natural position to put them there when you can bring someone in can do that as a natural right wing back? So I agree with you, but I just think it
and
didn't.
we're talking. Remember, we're talking about one of the best young right wing backs in world football, in
Yeah,
my honest opinion.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But I even said that about Tariq Lamptey as well when we let him go. So I was gutted when we let him go, but then I understood why he wanted to go because at the time you look at who's ahead of him, he's just not going to get a game at Chelsea. So it depends depends how we move forward. And I think obviously if we was to bring in someone else, then no, I don't think we would obviously attempt to do that. But if it is a case, because obviously Aspilicueta wants the contract extension, so it looks like he's staying for a bit longer. Does he want to be playing sort of second fiddle to that as well? I don't know. Reece James is cemented. That's his position right now for the foreseeable. But yeah, I'd love to see all these players that we're talking about. I think they have a role to play at Chelsea, but it's how do you fit them all in? And I think
Yeah,
that's just an unfortunate thing. When you look at the squad now, even some of the players that are still in the development squad now, that's still with us, some of
yeah.
them could actually be getting a run out in against Brentford in the Carabao Cups in a couple of weeks. They're that good.
No,
So
absolutely.
it's
I've got
just
to agree with
unfortunate.
you. Hopefully, we'll see Harvey Vale get a little run out. I want to see Mbayamba have a little run out as
Mm.
well. Levi Colwill, he's on loan, isn't he?
Yeah, and
Yep.
we got the left wing back as well, Coventry.
Ian Matson.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's a
He is,
brilliant,
yeah, he is,
brilliant.
he is. But I don't know if in our clause with Coventry that we can recall him from loan in January, because that would be interesting. Obviously, with that injury problem we've got with Ben Chilwell, he's going to be out for the rest of the season.
Mm.
Um, they're saying it's ligament damage, so we know how serious that is. But it'll be interesting to see if we're able to recall back Ian Matson, or if the manager doesn't want to stall his development over there at Coventry, because they have got a very good development system over there in Coventry. So
We got
um
Emerson as well. I think Emerson's still on loan, is it? So we could recall it. I know I take Matson over Emerson. Do you get what I'm saying? But out the two, I think if they had to recall one, which I don't think they will, I think they'll. I'd be surprised if we
bro,
did.
but this is my thing. Can we go the rest of the season as Marcus Alonso being our only left wing back option? Yeah, I
I
mean
think
it.
they'd use Aspie though, wouldn't they? They'd use Aspie Equeto
But
as a
even
backup.
still, because look, as good as Aspi is, look,
Mm,
age, nobody can beat age, and his legs ain't there like Chilwell's is.
nah,
That's
it's
what
true, man.
stifles him. You see what I mean? And a
Mm,
lot of that, we're seeing how important our wing back play is. We can't afford to be pinned back in certain
mm,
games. We can't. Man City did it to us. Juventus did it to us already. And in
mm.
those games, it was certainly the Juventus game. It was Aspi on the right, and it was Marcus Alonso on that left side. So we weren't getting up and down like that. So
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But I'm just thinking from a club perspective, I can see them either trying to play Aspilicueta at left back, which for me wouldn't be the right option. If I had to, I'd probably bring back Matson from Coventry and use him as a second option. It just means Alonso's got to be on. He's got to be on 9 out of 10s, 8 out of 10s most games now.
yeah,
And I don't think he can do that. If I'm honest,
that's
I don't trust him to do that consistently week in week out.
that's my concern. But like as of now, it's the 25th of November. The sort of silver lining in this dark cloud is the fact that we can actually make moves in January. And again, like we say, if we got any recall options on our loanees that are already out there, it'll be interesting to see if we'll exercise those or if we'll actually dip into the market and look at other alternatives that are able to come in straight away and make an impact. January
Mm.
signings, and it's very, very difficult to get them to bed in so early, so quickly, and familiar with the tactics. So it's a difficult period, man. I'll understand if business is not done, but I'll be a little worried if we don't address the situation soon.
I think we will though. I think the way that Thomas Tuchel's been since he's come in, he's always made sure that we've got enough cover for every position. Every position. Even when we were talking about we didn't have Lukaku and this and that,
Yep.
we still had enough up front to do what we did to win the Champions League. Do you get what I mean? So there was people there that could play there. So I think he likes to have the depth in the squad in order to be able to rotate and rest players and bring players into the team and drop players out, rest the Mason Mount, bring in a Loftus Cheek or whoever, rest the Jorginho, bring in Kovacic or whoever. He likes to have that luxury to do that. And if you're looking at Alonso and then you're just seeing Aspilicueta, who isn't even a natural left back. I think someone was talking about Saul Niguez can play there. Like he can't even
Yeah.
play in his natural position at the moment. He's not even getting a game there. So why would you put him at left wing back?
I think he wanted to leave Atletico as well because he was being used as a wing back.
There
So
you go. So
yeah, imagine the irony if that happens again. But even with him, I don't see the plan with him, to be honest with you. I
he's
don't
got to
see
go
him.
now. He's got to
Yeah,
go.
I don't
He's had
see
his
him.
moment. It didn't work out. He's got to just go and find something else. Go to Newcastle or somewhere. But his Chelsea career is done.
Yeah, I don't see that being a long-term solution whatsoever. But T Dot, I think we've covered everything, man, on pretty much the La Cobham boys. You get me? I know we didn't include Mason Mount. Mace has just been going through a little patch of injuries and being on and off the field and that. So I don't really think it's fair to sort of give him an evaluation so soon since he's been going through those things. And the same with Broya. Well, he's not been injured, but he hasn't played as much as I've liked. Although internationally, Broya's done very well. The few times I've seen him appear for Southampton, he's looked quite solid
He
for
looks
them.
sharp, man.
So, yeah, that's what I mean. So, that's another one there for the future we've got to keep our eyes on. We're very light in the actual striker department. So, it'll be interesting to see if he will come back and make an impact in the squad. So that's another one for another day. Hopefully, Hassan who will use him a bit more, and we'll be able to talk about him at a future date. But T Dot, thank you very much for joining me today. The
Pleasure, man.
discussion
Always.
on, yeah, man, it's always good to have a Chelsea discussion, especially with the Cobham boys as well. But to everyone watching, T Dot's details are down there, including his YouTube channel down there in the descriptions. Make sure you do check those out. Make sure you give the lad a follow. You get me? He's one of our own. So make sure you do give him some support. And whatever you're doing, wherever you are, make sure you stay safe. And to the Americans out there that are celebrating Thanksgiving, make sure you drink responsibly and all that. You get me?
Says you.
Yeah. Bruv, hey, listen, that,
I
hey,
heard the
listen,
story, man.
bruv, the Juventus game was just carnage, bruv. It was just absolutely mental.
Nah, I
Went
hear you,
in,
man.
yeah, went in there with the intention of watching the game and getting a few fan cams. Got a couple fan cams, but they turned out horrible because, like, as soon as it got to like when it got to like 2-3 nil, everyone was just sauced up. There was just beer everywhere. And it was just, yeah, it was mayhem.
So it should be anyway, man.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done that for a Chelsea victory, but yeah, man, I'm gonna behave myself going forward. Listen, because recently, you see, since stepping in this YouTube thing, I won't lie to you. Recently, the people I've been meeting over here and stuff, we've been doing a lot of celebrating. Before then, I weren't really on the alcohol thing like that, so I'm going back to that. Loud alcohol thing. You get me, man. Trust me. Gonna give
I
my
hear you,
liver a
man.
little rest, bruv. Trust me. But you know what, Tito? I ain't gonna lie. I'm one of them ones, yeah. I'm a lightweight, cuz. I'm telling you now.
Swear, yeah.
Yeah, bruv. It don't take me a lot to get drunk. I'm telling you. That's how you know my liver is functional, cuz. It's good.
Yeah. I
Because
hear that. I
listen,
hear that.
I will have look throughout a 90-minute game. I'll be sourced off like 4 beers. I'll be mad. Like if I had that night, I had I think 4 Hennessy and Cokes or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
I hear you, man.
single in New York, bear in mind, is like a double in England. It's just mental out here.
Right.
From that point, yeah, bruv. It was just a whole
Car
fucking
crash,
mess.
man. I hear you though,
Yeah.
man. You gotta celebrate the W's, man. So then it respects you in the channel
Definitely.
as well, man.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that, but them hangovers, I'm too old, bro. I can't be holding them no more. Them things are just horrible. They
I
batter
hear
me
you,
the
man.
next morning. So I'm just, the drinking thing, I'm gonna allow it. Gonna get myself fit, get back on the football pitch, you get me, and just live healthy now.
Love that, man. No, I love that, man.
Trust me. But big up everyone that's watching, man. Till next time. Bless.